Hello and welcome to another Property Edge podcast where we discuss the tools, the tech, the AI, the platforms, and the data that are powering today's industry leaders. And I'm delighted today to be joined by a regional industry leader. So Prakesh is with Kemp Real Estate in Port Lincoln on the Eyre Peninsula. Welcome, Rev.
Thanks for having me, Rob. Good to be here.
Well, it's great to have you here. And I will say first up, congratulations on your recent win, because only a couple of weeks ago you were awarded Property Manager Commercial Industrial of the Year. Well done at the REISA Awards.
Thank you very much. Very, very honoured to receive that. Could not have done it without the support of an amazing team that we work with here. So thank you.
Could you give our listeners a bit of an overview, your journey and the size and the style of the Kemp agency?
Of course. So for me personally, I've been with Kemp Real Estate now for coming up to 5 years. Business itself has existed in the Lower Peninsula for coming up to 45 years. So over that time, there's been a few changes. There's been several cracks at different offices. So we've had a central Port Lincoln office, which has been consistent. We've had a little go at Ceduna, Coffin Bay, Tumby Bay, where back to just the one centralized office with a couple of team members who do work remotely.
And the Kemp agency, despite being in a really, really farming area, you're predominantly resi, commercial and property management. That's right?
Yeah, that's right. We've only sort of recently got into the rural or the farming side of things over the last couple of months through the acquisition of another business here on the Lower Eyre Peninsula, but very much a focus on residential and commercial sales and property management.
Well, there's one thing I was going to ask you, because I was going to say we don't see much consolidation here on the Eyre Peninsula compared to, in the larger cities, particularly Adelaide. What's the purpose behind that? Can you give us a bit of the strategy there?
So the motivation, I guess, is to continue growing, and organic growth is always a goal and something we try to do. But when the opportunity came up to buy another terrific business on the Lower Eyre Peninsula I think the key thing was with similar values, being a community focused family sort of business, very much focused on people, thought we'd have a go at the opportunity, and 2 months into it now, and it's been a great experience.
I didn't realize that you were going into that sort of phase of the journey, but could you just give everyone a bit of an overview of Kemp's approach to tech? Where do you see yourselves? Are you cutting edge? Are you always looking to be a first mover? Are you following a bit further back? Because I will mention this, and by the time listeners might listen to that, you might have changed the website. But the website does say, and I'm quoting, "You could say we are high tech. We use technology to maximize results while continuing to offer excellent customer service." How are you high tech?
Well, I'll start from the top. So I think our philosophy on whether it's sales, property management, it's very much a service focused or high service focused, personalized approach. We're really fortunate to have a network that we can work within right around Australia, a combination of city-based and regional-based real estate businesses who we can bounce our ideas off. And so our approach to any sort of technology that's new or anything new we're going to implement is to stress test amongst our peers and see what their key learnings have been. And if they haven't, we try to share what we've learned from what we're implementing to sort of help each other out, I guess.
Yeah, that's interesting. So that's just over the course of the years, relationships have been built locally as well as interstate. And there's your sounding board for tech ideas.
Absolutely. Being a boutique business, not part of a franchise group, we've got to sort of try and leverage whatever networks we can be a part of. And we're really lucky that over time we've been fortunate to be part of like-minded private sort of businesses. The information that we've been able to bounce off others has been invaluable.
Yeah, fair enough. And so what does your current tech stack look like? How have you built it up? How is it connected? And how happy are you with it?
We sort of keep our PM tech and our sales tech fairly separate. We use AgentBox as our sales CRM. And then there's, a few different platforms around that we've utilized to help with presentations for appraisals, to help with our prospecting. From a PM point of view, we're Property Tree. And again, like you'd love to have just the one PM software that did everything. Unfortunately, we're yet to find it. And I know there's others that are trying to build it, but we utilize a combination of Property Tree, Repits, Inspect Real Estate, and Agent Box as well. And there's Inspection Express and MRI Inspect that fall in for our routine and condition reports. So when it comes to our tech stack, we're really cautious of bringing more into it, because at the moment we've got a workflow within the business that works for us and it works for our clients, keeping in mind that all of our tenants are local. We recognize the differences in market demands from a tech point of view. Some people just prefer a phone call or a face-to-face, or I'll come in and see you in your office, as opposed to a heap of auto-generated text messages or emails. So we're conscious of that, but we still want to keep moving forward.
Yeah, gotcha. Interestingly, now that you're maybe branching out into non-resi and non-commercial areas, more farming, are you going to have to bolt some bits onto your tech stack to give you the information you need? Because I know from a lot of regional agents, they complain that existing platforms aren't really fit for purpose in many ways.
We're definitely finding that. So yeah, like we're still in the early stages of incorporating that rural part of the business into our existing tech stack. But again, it's a brand new sort of new area for us to go into. So I think bouncing ideas off other businesses that are in that rural sales sort of sector, seeing what they use, how they utilize it, that's definitely part of our sort of next 12 months.
As a shameless plug, but also just our lived experience with Property Edge, is that we sort of over-index in regional areas, because using the map-based search, you can just click on things, then you can find the information out very easily, which particularly with rural properties and farms is often quite hard, because lot
Definitely.
421 down First Street, it could be 20 Ks up a dirt road, and it's very hard to distinguish between lot 2.
Very much so. We're just experiencing that at the moment as we're trying to incorporate that farming stuff in. Yeah.
Help us understand your staff onboarding, enabling of staff to get the most out of your tech stack through set workflows. Because speaking to, for example, Luke from OC recently, and in the last podcast we did, he mentioned they have a different approach, whereas they tailor their tech needs to every staff's workflow, or try and show them how they can use their own workflows. Whereas most businesses tend to have a set workflow they expect staff to go through. How do you get the most out of your tech stack by upskilling your staff?
Great question. I mean, through this recent acquisition, we've had to onboard more people in one hit than we've ever had to. So it's been a great learning experience. And I'm definitely not going to sit here and say that our onboarding is, 5-star, 100%. We're still seeing what works best for us. So we feel really confident that with our current tech stack, our workflow is good. Bringing in, a half a dozen new team members and trying to work through that workflow and keep it consistent and offer consistent service to our clients and make sure internally we're using the term pass the baton on to the next person in a nice way, has been a challenge, and definitely something that we've had to refine on the fly a little bit. We had a plan of this is how we do it, this is how we're going to onboard, but such is the nature of real estate, even the best laid plans change. So to answer your question, I think, we always try to refine our workflow and use our existing tech stack, make sure we're using our existing tech stack to the best of our ability. The onboarding of it, it's been a challenge. We're getting there.
Well, it's not something you've had to do or get used to. Some of these larger agencies in Adelaide now, they have onboarding teams that they send out because they're getting so used to acquiring other businesses and bringing them in.
As a bit of perspective, I guess, Rob, we're at about 19 team members with maybe one or two that were on parental leave and that sort of stuff. And we've sort of overnight bumped up to about 27 with 2 on their way in. That's been a pretty quick growth for our little business. In the cities, I completely understand when they've got hundreds of team members. What we're talking about is small fry. But I guess from a regional point of view, to bring on 33% more within your workforce as a small business is significant and comes with challenges, but it's something we're really proud of.
You could probably help validate a theory that I have, that one of the key differences about rural or regional real estate is that you have a very defined market. Your market's bounded by the beach. And whereas in more metro areas, you haven't got defined, you might say you've got a defined suburb, but everything seems to overlap. And so marketing to locals is easier because you can find them at the footy ground. You can find them, the local RSL or wherever, you happen to do your community work. But you can also find them in Google Ads really easily, or, Facebook. So my question to you in a roundabout way is, from a marketing perspective and a marketing tech perspective, you would use these tools already, but do you think you've got an unfair advantage there given the defined nature of your market?
Yes. Yeah, it's definitely a benefit of being where we are. Like you said, there's one road in. If you're coming over from Adelaide, you're generally going the same way through. So it's probably is an unfair advantage in that sense for us to, if we're trying to be strategic with our marketing, or if we're focused with what we're trying and who we're trying to attract. From a sales and a property management point of view, we do have an upper hand on our metro counterparts. But of course, there's other challenges that you face as well. If you go to that same well all the time, sometimes things aren't going that well. You don't get the results, and that's the downside. So we're not just purely focused on, absolutely everything is traditional marketing. We've had to look at other ways to sort of broaden what we're doing.
My next question involves support when it comes to data hygiene, but also IT support in building your platforms up and keeping them humming. Because if there's one thing that can add value to an agency, if God forbid one day you wanted to sell the thing, it's having a really clean and large prospect list and customer list that's well maintained. Have you had much support in that area?
Yeah. So from an IT point of view, we do have some managed assistance from an Adelaide-based firm with just general day-to-day IT. We're trying to handle all that internally, on top of trying to make sure our database is clean and we're entering data in properly and all that sort of stuff. So we decided that we wanted to sort of control our database. So Agent Box is our CRM. A lot of the information that goes into there is great if it's captured and entered in properly. But when we're trying to manage that with general day-to-day support and improvements and that sort of stuff, we thought maybe we'll centralize the Agent Box and the data inputs. And we've got some certain team members and some checks within our workflow to make sure that if the information isn't captured correctly, we follow up and we get it back and we input it. A lot of the AI that we're using from a prospecting point of view, it relies heavily on that CRM data being as clean as possible. Is our CRM perfectly clean? Absolutely not. We just figure if we can try and control what we're doing right now and continue to look back at what's in there and fix when we can, for us and the way we're sort of structured, that's our best bet.
Where do you see, AI going in real estate? Because there's some dystopian versions of where it might go, where people never talk to humans anymore. But then there's some really solid use cases, which is just giving practical and easy information to customers in a quickly accessible way without having to bother a human, and to ensure the customer gets the answers when they want them. Where do you see that balance and where do you see it going?
Yeah. So AI, when we first saw, I guess, its capabilities, probably coming up to 2 years ago, it was a little bit overwhelming and definitely daunting. For us, our view on AI it's not a replacement tool for real estate professionals. It's just an enhancement tool. Our view is that at some point in time, everyone's going to be using it anyway in some shape or form. It's just a matter of how long it takes to get there. So for us, testing it, where we've got some really good team members that are up to speed with how to use it for work and also in their personal lives. And ChatGPT is probably the simplest example for us. A few years ago, you would have to pay someone if you didn't know how to write your own new listing. There was people that would offer a service for $500 or whatever. Don't quote me on that number, but you can now get that done within 20 to 25 minutes if you prompt ChatGPT properly. 25 minutes, you're being generous, but something that we were spending money on or spending time on, it's something we do a lot when you're listing properties for sale, for rent. It hasn't replaced the salesperson. It's just enhanced their ability and given them more time to do other stuff. And our view is, it's an enhancement to the service we offer. And I'm sure it's the same with everyone. I think that face-to-face or in-person interactions that you have with people are still really important. And if you haven't got that skill set and the ability to do that, sure, you might get some results, but we've taken that view that to offer a high service and a good place to work, it's all about people and how you interact with people.
Yeah, all about people. That was the theme probably for the first 3 episodes of this podcast. Everyone was making it very, very clear that tech's important. At the end of the day, it's people that make the sales, people that have the relationships. From an AI perspective, our lived experience at Land Services is that we're actually going to be relying on a lot of our partners, the software platforms that we use, to expand on the AI capability that they have, build that in, and then we'll get the benefit rather than us trying to cobble something together for our own use. We'll be doing a bit of that for some specific niche areas, but I can imagine in the real estate world, you're just essentially waiting for these platforms to come out with some really great stuff that you can then just switch on right away and your team gets benefit from.
Absolutely. We're waiting for them to pull the trigger on a few of these new AI enhancements. And then obviously we want to test them, make sure they work the way we have been told they're going to work. I think it's a really important thing. And then obviously roll it out to our clients if we can. But yeah, it's a bit of a waiting game at the moment. If we can do some stuff in the background just to sort of fill in the blanks, absolutely. We've been exploring options. We're confident that, your REIPITs and your MRIs of the world are working on the next big thing.
And I'll be excited to see what they come up with too. Speaking of the next big thing, Christmas is coming up. And so on your wish list for Christmas, what sort of tech, tools or data do you wish you had access to help your team perform?
Really good question. I think some of the data that's out there that's been captured by, I guess, some of the portals and the way they've gone about capturing that has been hats off to them, because what they have within their ecosystem is phenomenal. And the information that they get and derive is really, really important. I think for us, it'd be great if we had the ability to capture that ourselves and have it within our own CRM, but that's a difficult thing to do. So the wish list would be almost as if we had our own portal. We try to navigate and direct towards our website as much as we can. Naturally, people are going to look at the portals. So having a system and a website where we could capture that information and be able to share our value with our clients in that sense would be amazing.
So to just help expand on that, what sort of information, what would you want the portal? I mean, realestate.com is the big portal that a lot of people go through. I'm assuming that's what you're speaking about, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think the model that they've got where I guess, Rob Turnbull signs up with an account, and then, as you're looking for a property, you enter in what you're looking for, and that information is then stored and you can get alerts. And so I think in its simplest form, like I said, we use Agent Box, you can do that, but it's then adding the next layers on top of that, which, hats off to realestate.com. They've built amazing business and system over a long period of time. But I think looking at what they've done and how they've done it and what they're actually offering as a real estate business, a single office, if we could do something like that, it'd be amazing. So that's my wish list. Not sure how we get there.
REA Group, realestate.com's parent, is the most valuable part of News Corp now. So you can see how well they must be doing.
Mm-hmm.
And on that note,
absolutely.
I reckon we might leave it there. Rav, thanks so much for sharing your perspective. Some of the key things that I took away were your approach to tech, speaking to other people around the country, getting that vibe from people, understanding how you support your staff with the workflows, and the fact that you're just growing enormously and got some teething, I suppose, just normal growing pains, is one that I think a lot of agencies probably will have to start learning about if they're going to start growing in that similar manner. So anyway, thank you so much for sharing your perspective today.
Thanks for having me, Rob. It's been a pleasure.
Listeners, I really hope you have enjoyed today's episode, talking to a regional industry leader. Thank you for spending the time to listen to this today. If you want any more information about the Property Edge podcast or the Property Edge platform, head over to propertyedge.app. And until the next time, bye-bye.